Breen tonight is on assignment. Well, first, tonight at 6, 17 Christians are killed for their faith every day in the African nation of Nigeria. That's according to Truth Nigeria, a project from Equipping the Persecuted based right here in Sioux City. KTIV's Taylor Deckard has more tonight on how this organization is trying to save lives half a world away.
Judd Saul started the nonprofit Equipping the Persecuted, working to help persecuted Christians in Nigeria. From his office in Sioux City, he coordinates services in moments of crisis in the African country.
We raise awareness and we raise the funds that then we can go deploy in Nigeria. We have a staff of over 115 separated between several different states, which allow us to rapidly respond to attacks and deploy aid effectively.
The organization has been able to touch over 400,000 persecuted Christians in the last 5 years. 15 Nigerian journalists have used social media and blogs to write about the loss and destruction going on in that country. Truth Nigeria, a project which was created by Judge Equipping the Persecuted organization, can help.
Like, we get word on the street that such and such place is going to be attacked when. That information gets to us and we publish it.
Truth Nigeria says there's no free press in that country and information is censored by the government. 22-year-old student Deborah Emanuel was murdered 3 years ago for expressing her Christian faith to her Muslim classmates. Truth Nigeria covered the story. Saul says because the Nigerian government controls speech and the press, the Nigerian security services arrested 3 journalists.
They made Truth Nigeria's head editor do a retraction and an apology letter. Otherwise, he was going to go to jail. This just proves the point there is no free press in Nigeria, and what we are doing is getting under the skin of some of the bad actors in that country. Truth Nigeria and the rest of us are committed to continuing to tell the truth.
Saul hopes this project can shrink fear and put their Christian faith in a higher place.
We need people to talk about the situation and what's happening to Christians. We're asking for the community to pray for our mission and pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters in Nigeria.
In Sioux City, Taylor Deckard, KTIV News 4.
Equipping the Persecuted is hoping to send more aid in the coming weeks. You can learn more about how you can partner with the nonprofit by going to the story. We have the information for you right now on KTIV.com.